When you said that, when you mentioned saying people underrepresented, what do you understand by that?
Well, I go back to when I was in school, and there actually was civics taught in the school, and they taught us, and our founding documents talk about a representative system of government, which means that the voters get to choose somebody who will represent their best interests, not necessarily somebody who looks like them, that's not a guarantee, not necessarily somebody who is of the same political party, but somebody who will be conscious of the fact that they represent all of the constituents of their particular district.
I see. So to you, being underrepresented doesn't mean that if the majority of the ethnic group is the population of certain areas. That doesn't mean that the majority of that group has to be the one to be represented.
The law, I think, has evolved to the point where it's pretty clear that a minority group has to have a fair chance to choose a representative that they are comfortable with. Now, we have, for instance, in Texas, districts that are dominantly Latino, and yet they choose a congressman who is Anglo. So the law doesn't guarantee...
Time out. Let me go back to what you just said, Texas. Because honestly, I don't care about Texas, I care about New York. But
right.
Let's talk about Texas, like you said. That district that is represented by non-minority, but the district, the majority of the population of that district, it's what?
I guess I'm not understanding the question.
You're saying that in Texas, there is a district that the population is Hispanic, and the district is represented by...
They elect someone who is
the
Anglo,
Hispanic.
because the law basically says that the minority population has the right, when they are in the majority in the district, that they have the right to be preserved as a block.
Okay, so
in order to have voting power. It doesn't guarantee, it doesn't say Latinos can only be represented by Latinos. The law guarantees those people enough political power to exercise a meaningful choice as a minority population.
Would you say that the Republican Party is underrepresented here today?
Well, I mean, what I'm saying traditionally in the United States.
Yes or no? Is the Republican Party underrepresented here?
No. What's nice about this panel here is it is a lovely representation of the diversity of our state, and that's what we strive for. But what I'm talking about is...
So would you say that the county of the Bronx, who has the majority of its population being of the Hispanic descendant, would that county should have all the lines cut to represent that population?
Yes, and that's guaranteed by the Voting Rights Act. That when you have what we call a majority-minority district, then that is protected under federal law. That's really one of the few things that's protected under federal law, under the Voting Rights Act, that you cannot take that critical mass of minority voters and pack them into one district to keep them from having enough power if they could be in two, because it denies them fair representation.
See, that's the thing that I don't understand. The whole thing is Hispanic. You got to cut it in half to put somebody else. Why?
Well, the idea is if you have enough minority voters to be the majority in two districts, then it is unequal protection to cram them into one. Or if you have enough minority voters to be a majority in one district, it's unequal
so you have,
to... pull them into 4 or 5 to keep them from having the critical mass to have a strong voice in an election.
So you have to take someone from Westchester County to bring it to the Bronx, so Westchester County or other ethnic group should have a representative when the Bronx is I don't understand the whole Shalamalaki here.
Well, you know, the Voting Rights Act and its interpretation has evolved over a number of years, and there are, I think, representatives from the Brennan Center who will be testifying who are perhaps better at explaining it than I, but certainly right now it's an area that's in flux, quite honestly, how the courts are defining what is a minority-majority district and how best to draw it. And so it's a dynamic process, because what we're trying to do is, I think the impetus behind the Voting Rights Act is to balance historic wrongs and give a fair opportunity to minority voters.
So a minority is not always a minority.
No, that's why we call them, quote, minority-majority districts. We struggle with the terminology to get it right so that it isn't pejorative and it means something. And when we say minority, we mean what is now becoming a plurality in many places, non-Anglo voters.
So we in the Bronx are the majority, the Hispanic in the Bronx are the majority of the population of the Bronx. That doesn't mean that they will have the majority of seats.
That's correct.
So it
means that they will have a fair chance to elect a representative that they believe will be the best representative, not to be broken up between different districts so that they can never get enough power. Often they make a choice to vote for somebody who is of the same background, but not always.
So why should I vote or go in favor of a commission when I don't have the certainties of what's going to happen? I mean, maybe the commission would do worse than what I have now.
Well, the commission, the idea is that right now we have a system where the primary concern is ensuring, in all honesty, incumbency return. And that has become an increasing area of discomfort for the voters. We have a state with an unusually high return rate of incumbents. Now, we have very many talented people in our legislature who I believe would be reelected no matter what the situation was with the district lines. But there is a sense, and I think a justified sense, that in drawing the lines, the legislature puts a thumb on the scale, discourages there from being open, competitive elections, that keeps you, frankly, a bit on your toes, because you know that you're accountable to the voters when there's a possibility that you could be challenged. When the lines are drawn in such a way as to discourage any ability of there being a competitive race, it discourages people from participating in the system. And what we've seen is that the legislatively dominated system for drawing lines tends to come up with maps that have one and one goal only: safe districts. That doesn't make voters happy.
Just in closing, it is, for me, it's frustrating because when the census time comes, we all go out there motivating our people, our community.
Right.
Come on, get it, especially our own. Every group try to motivate their people so they could have their seats. But now you're telling me that we go out there, we take all the Hispanic in the Bronx and all over the city, come on, go, and then they get counted, and now you're saying that doesn't mean anything.
But it does matter. It does.
You just told me that
it does.
Doesn't matter.
It does. It does matter.
Thank you, Senator.
Okay,
Thank you very much, Senator.